Hello and welcome to Freya's tropical garden. We've had heat waves, we've had thunderstorms and we've had downpours. The garden has been absolutely loving it. Now here's what's coming up on today's episode. Part 3 of my RHS Wisley series takes a look at the dry temperate zone and the moist temperate zone. I also visit again for the 2023 Wisley Flower Show and bring you interviews with Matt from Hampshire Carnivorous Plants, Will from Botanico, and Chris from MandyPlants. And I introduce my new competition to win a bag of fresh chillies. Let's take a look how my garden's changed since the last episode. This week I've had some new plants delivered. These have come from desert to jungle and have all arrived well packaged and in good condition. Fascicularia is a bromeliad with stunning colour. The Leonotis has a stunning orange flower which you'll be able to see later on in my video. This stunning impatiens is also known as the Congo cockatoo, and this abutilon will flower throughout spring, summer and autumn. I've added a new variety of tree fern, although this one will need to come inside over winter. And the small anthus, which I'm intending to use instead of sunflowers in my garden next year. This beautiful plant featured in my RHS Wisley Part 1 video, which was in episode 7. And as you can see, this plant has a fantastic root system already. And I've also picked up this Brahia armata from a seller on Facebook Marketplace. And I finally made a start at creating a new bed in my garden. And I'll go through this in more detail in a future video. But my garden now is almost unrecognisable from what I showed you at the beginning of the year. Everything has got so much taller and much more luscious. In spring I pollarded my Paulonia down to the height of the fence. Now it has grown so much taller, it's a shame it's being masked by the crabapple tree. And the ricinus is looking absolutely stunning. It's such an architectural plant. And from the Canna Cleopatras at the back here, all the way through the garden, the cannas are flowering and there is plenty of colour. They really do make all the difference to my garden at this time of year and are definitely one of my favourite plants to grow in a tropical garden. But I have quite a few flowers in my garden at the moment, so I'm just going to take you through a few of the things that are flowering. Starting, of course, with this stunning canna with a vibrant orange flower against the dark foliage. I've divided this so I've got 2 in my garden at the moment, and I absolutely love them. It's the shortest variety of canna that I've got in my garden, and yet I think it's actually my favourite one. I'm also getting plenty of red flowers from this Tropicana Black. I've got several clumps of this around the garden, but this clump is definitely flowering the best. And the Canna Patterns, of course, has continued to flower all summer. It has a much more dainty flower, but it's very pretty. The Canna Cleopatra is one of the taller varieties of canna I've got, so these striking red and yellow flowers really are visible all over the garden at the moment. But my tallest canna, the Canna Russian Red, only has 1 flower on it at the moment. The other main source of flowers that I've got in my garden is the dahlias. My dahlias haven't done as well as usual this year though. A lot of them struggled to get going in spring and this just made them an easy target for the slugs. But my Laricoletta is flowering now and this is a lovely, beautiful red flower and is a great variety for cut flowers. While my Musabastu flower still continues to shed its petals, and it has surprised me how long it takes to do this, unfortunately another one of my bananas has now gone into flower. If you've been following my previous videos, you might notice this is the banana that collapsed to half height after my husband stripped away some of the trunk. The sunflowers are still providing ever reliable colour in the garden, and now this new variety, Russian Giant, has started flowering. This is the only yellow variety I sowed this year. My Cleome has even more flower heads than previously. These are commonly known as the spider flower, and it's easy to see why. I haven't seen any flowers on my Ipomoea party dress for a while, but it's starting to pick up again now, as is the Spanish flag variety. And the Chilean glory vines started flowering again. My Nicotiana's going to seed now, and I'll be doing a video in a few weeks about seed collecting. Now, last time we took a more in-depth look at all the plants that I'm growing in the bog area of my garden. And following on from that now, where I left off with the colocasia pink china, I'm now going to take you a little bit further round this bed that's in the far corner of my garden here. This is a very stony area of the garden, but I've still got quite a few plants that are doing very well and growing very nicely in these conditions. I have some Canna Cleopatra growing here, which is the beautiful canna with red and yellow flowers and a lovely red stripe in the leaf. This stays in the ground all year long. It dies back to ground level during winter and then regrows again in spring. Acer palmatum is also known as a Japanese maple. Acers like a very sheltered spot that's going to give them some protection from wind. At the back here I have some bamboo, which is planted in the ground in a plot to try and contain it, although it is a clumping variety. And I have an Ensete or red Abyssinian banana. However, this is looking a little bit stretched as it is struggling to find light with all the other plants that are around it. Ensetes are fast growing and a great addition to a tropical garden. There is a tall ricinus here. All my ricinus plants have been grown from seed which I collected from last year's plants, therefore there are quite a few crossed varieties. Ricinus are treated as annuals in the UK. I have my larger Dicksonia antarctica tree fern in this area. Although you can't see it here, this one has got a bit of a trunk. And behind it, this callistemon or bottle brush is getting a little bit lost. I may need to move this next year, but as you can see, in spring it has the most beautiful flowers. 2 years ago, this Musabasju was just one of my pups. Now it has pups of its own. And behind it is my lovely tall Cordyline australis. And this Cordyline too is already starting to produce a pup. In spring, I moved my Sambucus to the back of the garden, so its growth has been a little bit inhibited this year. However, it's still doing well and will pick up next year. The Persian silk tree is a type of mimosa that will have the most beautiful fluffy pink flowers when it grows bigger. The stony ground in this area seemed like the ideal place to put some of my succulents, like this agave. However, they haven't been getting a lot of light now that a lot of my other plants have been growing, so they haven't been doing as well as I'd hoped. Although the aloe vera looks a little bit happier in this location. But next year I'm hoping to create a sloping area more specifically for my succulents to help with drainage. My phormium was actually doing a lot better last year, but died back to ground level during these heavy frosts that we had. However, it has been coming back nicely. And the Brunnera Alexander's Great is more visible earlier on in the year. However, things have grown up around it now, so it's getting a bit lost. This self-seeded variety of Crocosmia has gone to seed now. However, it was not that long ago that it had the most beautiful flowers, and I know I showed you in a previous video these lovely orange flowers that it has. And my Musa sycamensis died back to ground level this winter. However, its pup has grown very quickly and even has 2 other pups alongside it. Young leaves have this beautiful red stripe running through them. And my pineapple lily, the sparkling burgundy, has a beautiful pink flower and deep burgundy leaves. It is the most stunning variety of pineapple lily. In spring, you would be able to see the peony, bowl of beauty, with its wonderful pink flowers. You can see here just how much this area has grown in a few months. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at part 3 of my RHS Wisley series. In part 3 of my video about RHS Wisley, we'll take a look at the moist temperate zone and the dry temperate zone, both of which can be found in its tropical glasshouse. In the moist temperate zone, you'll find many tree ferns and tropical plants that could tolerate a light frost at least. The Dicksonia squarosa is also known as the rough tree fern. Native to New Zealand, it has a lovely slender black trunk with beautiful umbrella fronds at the top. It's a faster growing tree fern, gaining about 8 to 10 centimetres each year, and is hardy down to about -5. Dicksonia fibrosa is very similar to the Antarctica that we're more familiar with, however it's slightly smaller with slightly paler colour leaves. The Cyathea felina is a beautiful, elegant tree fern, which is fast growing but only hardy down to about 0 degrees. Cyathea medullaris is also known as the black tree fern. Named after its beautiful black trunk, it has long fronds up to 5 metres. It will need plenty of water during hot spells, however it's not frost hardy. Cyathea cooperi is also known as Cooper's tree fern. It comes from Australia and has long fronds of up to 4 to 5 metres long. It enjoys dappled sunlight and should be kept above 0 degrees C. It will not regrow its fronds if frosted, unlike the Dicksonia antarctica. Archontophoenix cunninghamiana is also known as the king palm. It's a slender, fast-growing feather palm that can reach up to 15 metres tall, and its pinnate leaves can reach up to 3 metres long. New leaves have a lovely coppery hue. It enjoys a regular feed, however it will only tolerate light frosts. Rhopalostyrus sapida is also known as the nickel palm. It's native to New Zealand and has these beautiful long fronds, 3 metres long. It's hardy to about -3 degrees but will need frost protection and should be kept out of direct sunlight. Farfugium japonicum aureomaculatum is also known as the leopard plant. This is a clump-forming perennial from Japan. It likes bright dappled shade and will die back to the ground over winter, just needs to be mulched over. Another Farfugium is this lovely one, Wavy Gravy, also known as the Michaelmas daisy. It has light blue daisy flowers and is fully hardy in the UK. Lepidosamia perovskiana is an Australian cycad. It's slow growing and low maintenance. The cones on a female can reach 90 centimetres tall, however this is frost tender. And behind it is this beautiful tall Strelitzia nicolai, also known as the giant white bird of paradise. It can grow up to 7 to 8 metres tall. It has beautiful white flowers but rarely flowers in the UK. The Strelitzia alba is also known as the white-flowered wild banana. It's very similar to the nicolai, but it can grow up to 10 metres tall. Strelitzia reginae flowers better in humid conservatories and glasshouses. It has beautiful orange flowers. The Kirstenbosch gold variety, also known as Mandela's gold, has yellow flowers which are absolutely stunning. And the Humilis variety is a dwarf clumping Strelitzia, very similar to the reginae. Strelitzia juncea is a really interesting variety of Strelitzia. It has very long stalks but hardly any leaves, and the leaves that it does have are tiny. This helps it to be more wind resistant. Heliconia sheardiana is another relative of the banana. Although this is the hardiest variety of Heliconia, it would still be better to bring it indoors for winter if you're wanting it to flower. And it would be worth it for these beautiful lobster claw flowers. Musa sycamensis is also known as the Bengal tiger banana or red tiger banana due to the red stripe in the leaf of the younger bananas. It can normally survive a UK winter, sometimes dying back to ground level, but is not as hardy as the Musa basjoo. This plant's monocarpic, so after flowering this banana will die. Musa velutina is also known as the pink banana due to the pink colour of the fruit that it produces. It will normally survive down to about -5 with protection. Gloxinia is a tuberous-rooted perennial from Brazil. Some varieties of Gloxinia are hardy and others will need winter protection, so it's best to check when you're buying. Abutilon Ashford Red, also known as the flowering maple, and has the most beautiful red flowers. It can tolerate low temperatures in a frost-free greenhouse. Caryotomitis is also known as the Himalayan fishtail palm. This is considered to be one of the hardiest of the fishtail palms and may do well in some of the milder areas of the UK. Pteris ambrosia is an Australian fern which likes moist shade and is fairly hardy. Begonia Irene Nuss has large dark green foliage and pale pink blooms. It can grow 50 to 60 centimetres tall but is not considered hardy in the UK. Washingtonia robusta is a tall palm with beautiful fan-shaped leaves. It's hardy down to about -5 and becomes more hardy as the plant matures. Butea eriospatha is also known as the woolly jelly palm. It's very similar to the Butea capita, although it has a woolly covering over the flower spike. Canna iamanii is a tall variety of canna, growing up to 2.5 metres tall, and has beautiful pink flowers. It will grow well in moist, sunny borders and needs to be kept well watered. Phoenix robelinii is also known as the pygmy date palm. This is a slow-growing palm that grows in large numbers along the Mekong River. It prefers indirect light and moist soil. Brahia edulis is also known as the Guadeloupe palm. This beautiful fan palm can grow up to 13 metres tall and grows at a rate of 30 centimetres per year. You can see here just how large these palmate leaves are. It prefers nutritionally poor soil and can survive up to -7 degrees. Livistona australis is also known as the cabbage tree palm. It can grow up to 25 metres tall and hardy down to about -2. And this beautiful passion flower, Passiflora anastasia, is a climbing plant that will grow well on trellises or in hanging baskets. It blooms prolifically through spring, summer and autumn. However, it's not very hardy, so would need to be moved indoors. Sable minors, also known as the dwarf palmetto. It's a slow-growing small palm. It's hardy but will struggle to grow without hot, humid summers. Hedychium greenii is a ginger with attractive foliage and showy flowers. It's quite hardy and it's best to mulch over it if you're leaving it out. Cycas pansiensis is rare and vulnerable. It's hardy down to about -7 but would likely lose its leaves. Next we're going to move on to the dry temperate zone, mimicking dry, semi-arid and desert conditions. The plants in this section are adapted to be drought tolerant. Agave montana comes from Mexico. It's easy to grow and hardy down to -10 degrees. This Agave americana is a variety called lemon lime. It can grow 4 foot tall by 4 foot wide, but is not as large as some other Americanas. Agave franciscinii has striking foliage with a powdery blue-grey leaf. It's hardy down to about -10 degrees, but as with most of the plants in this area, they do need to be kept dry. Agave parrii is neat and compact with a diameter of 70 centimetres. It's hardy down to -10 when mature. Agave Joe Hoke is an incredibly pretty agave. It grows up to 90 centimetres wide and the leaves curl upwards and then out. It's hardy down to about -4 degrees. Agave Siciliana has dark green sword-shaped leaves that grow up to 1.5 metres long. It's hardy down to about -4. Agave attenuata is fast growing. It can grow 2 to 3 metres tall. However, the temperature shouldn't drop below 5 degrees. Dacilerion longissimum is also known as the Mexican grass tree. It's a striking plant and is highly sought after. However, it matures very slowly. It's hardy down to -8 degrees, but again should not be watered in winter. Puya coerulea is a bromeliad. In spring, mature plants have deep violet tubular flowers. Nolina nelsonii is also known as the blue beargrass tree. This yucca-like plant can grow 2 metres tall and survive down to -15 degrees. The aloe ferox has blue-green lance-shaped leaves up to 3 foot long. It produces orange tubular flowers and survives down to -5 degrees. The aloe arborescens is also known as the candelabra aloe. This is a low-maintenance plant that can survive -2 for short periods. Aloe vera is one of the best air-purifying plants to grow as a houseplant, and its sap is also really good for treating sunburn. Euphorbia ingens is also known as the African candelabra tree. It's low maintenance and can survive -2 for short periods. Euphorbia trigona is also known as the African milk tree due to its milky sap, which is toxic if ingested. It can grow at a rate of 1 foot per year and up to 2 meters tall. Encephalatus are a genus of cycad native to Africa. They're commonly called bread trees or bread palms due to the starchy food from the central stem. Velocis is one of the most common dwarf cycads in southern Africa. It's shade-loving, fast-growing and can produce pups. However, Ferox is classified as near threatened. It likes humid summers and mild winters, however its frost tolerance is unclear. Lehmanii is described as the hardiest and most drought-resistant cycad, tolerating moderate to heavy frost. This yucca silver star grows 6 to 9 meters tall and is hardy down to -9 degrees. Mammillaria geminispina is a clustering cactus from Mexico. It forms incomplete rings of pretty pink flowers, as does the Spinacissima. These cacti should not be watered during the winter months and are best kept as houseplants. Rhodantha is faster growing than other mammillarias and will quickly form large clumps. It can survive down to -5 degrees if kept dry. Hyamanthus coccineus is also known as the blood flower or blood lily. It's often found on coastal dunes and is not considered hardy in the UK. The Brahia armata is also known as the Mexican blue palm. It's a single trunk palm that grows very slowly, taking 15 years to grow 5 to 8 feet. It can survive down to -9 degrees and copes well with arid conditions. Aloidendron barbarae is also known as the tree aloe. It's Africa's largest aloe and it's fast growing, but not frost hardy. Aloidendron dichotomon is also known as the quiver tree, as its branches are sometimes hollowed out to make quivers. It's relatively fast growing and can grow up to 9 meters tall. Ferrocactus pilosus is also known as the Mexican lime cactus, or fire barrel due to its lovely red spines. This plant could tolerate a light frost if kept dry. This Carnegie gigantea is very small at the moment, however it can grow up to 12 meters tall, developing branches as it ages. It can live for over 200 years. Echinocactus grusonii is also known as the golden barrel cactus, or mother-in-law's cushion. It's slow growing and critically endangered in the wild. Normally it grows in volcanic rock, and it will tolerate a light frost. Paradaya ledinghausii is also known as the golden ball cactus or lemon ball cactus. It can survive down to -3 degrees and can tolerate a bit more water in winter. Ceres spiralis is a beautiful blue-green colour spiralling column. Younger plants are straight, however when they get to about 10 centimetres they start to twist. Pachypodium lameri is known as the Madagascar palm, although it's not actually a palm tree. The leaves are deciduous in winter, and the flowers are beautiful and fragrant. It mainly photosynthesizes through its trunk, which has large thorns covering it. It's not hardy and must be kept indoors and dry over winter. Pelargonium tetragonum is unlike other pelargoniums. It's almost leafless with succulent stems and beautiful pale pink flowers. It grows on cliffs and rocky places and is frost tender. Aloiampelos is a multi-branched climbing or sprawling shrub from southern Africa. They can be used as hedges and some varieties are frost hardy. This Ostrocylindropuntia emerald idol is part of the prickly pear family. It's slow growing and frost tender. Lemuriocerius is a difficult plant for beginners to grow. They require more warmth in winter than most cacti and are susceptible to fungus. Bocania recurvata is known as the ponytail palm, although it's not actually a palm tree, and is actually part of the asparagus family. When grown outdoors, it can reach up to 30 foot tall, but doesn't like temperatures below 10 degrees C. Next up, we're going to go to RHS Wisley Flower Show, where I interview several experts. I'm here at RHS Wisley for the 2023 Flower Show, full of gardening inspiration, expert advice, vibrant floral displays, and fabulous shopping opportunities. There's something here for everyone, with a range of top quality plants from specialist nurseries and hilltop live talks with plenty of expert advice. And there are plenty of stunning displays from the nurseries showcasing their plants. And of course, it's the perfect opportunity to have a look round Wisley's fantastic gardens. And if you haven't been there already, take a look at my RHS Wisley series to see some of the wonderful plants being grown here. But first, I took the opportunity to interview some of the stall holders here today to talk about some of the plants that they sell.
I'm Matt Soper, and this is my company, Hampshire Carnivorous Plants. We're the largest carnivorous plant nursery in the UK. We supply plants from the Venus flytrap, which everyone knows, through to some really unusual Nepenthes and Sarracenia. We also breed a lot of our own hybrids, and we have a huge range available in the nursery, which is open weekends and by appointment. If you're going to start growing them, the easiest plant for children by far is the Drosera capensis. I know it may not be as exciting as the Venus flytrap, but they're extremely easy to grow. The leaves do move, they're the power of movement. The flowers, which are produced annually, self-pollinate, and you can grow them on from seed. So that's by far the easiest. But the one that everyone will want, especially youngsters, is the Venus flytrap, Dynea muscipula. And these are great, but there's a few special rules of them. You must use rainwater, and you stand them in that all the time, in a source of rainwater, a very sunny position. If they put a flower up, it's best to cut the flower off of them, because then they'll put all their energy into making traps rather than the flower, which is what everyone wants. And lots of good sunlight and a good cold winter rest. And we grow these outside in a bog garden in the nursery, you can see here, year round. These are not tropical plants, they are temperate. So they look very exotic and tropical, but as I say, they're temperate. The hardiest ones are the North American pitcher plants, and here, Sarracenia. These are fantastic, and we've had them out for years in the bog garden. Last December we went down to -12 centigrade. They're frozen solid. And you can see them here in the nursery in the garden, and up here in the snow. You can see that. So yeah, this one by far the hardiest, and great for a bog garden.
And you can find links to Hampshire Carnivorous Plants website and YouTube channel in the description.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm from Botanico. So some cool plants we've got here today. So we've got a nice Woodwardia Yamagata here. So this is a hardy found to -10. It's a really undersold plant. So it starts its life with new fronds, and they start rose red, and then they go bronze, and then go to green, and they can get up to 2 meters long. So that's quite an awesome one there. If you're looking for something a bit more of a house plant, we've got some nice mimosas down here. So they move. So it's going to close up. So as you can see here, if I set it to the camera, so they should. There you go. So it's just starting to shut up there. So this is a defense mechanism, and this is great for your house plants.
Again, there are links to Botanico's website in my description.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm from MandyPlants. We're a sort of a specialist tender perennial producer based in Norfolk. Somebody who's just beginning something easy that doesn't need a lot of care and attention, so straightforward watering and feeding. So there are a number of different plants. On the tender side, we've got Tibouchina, which is a native of Australia, nice blue flower. And then we got the orange flowered Leonotis, which is again flowers this late summer into the autumn to the frost.
I've just ordered one of those. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a native of South Africa, so it's a distant relative of the cannabis plant. So it flowers starting in August and will go on until November, till the worst of the English climate sorts it out, really. So, and then you can cut it down at least 50% or more. You can either do it late, early winter or early spring. and then you'll get more flowers next year, more branching, more flowers. Mandyvillas is what we really started the business on. I used to work for a breeder of them based in Japan. So there's lots of bright colours. It's a tropical climbing plant from Brazil. It was discovered in the Rio de Janeiro mountain regions. So it's a tender perennial in a northern European climate. So they flower commercially if they've had 18 degrees or winter and at least 14 hours day length. They will flower from May until November. But in the consumer's environment, probably where it's a little bit not quite the perfect conditions, it's more likely June flowering till about September, October.
Now, I struggle with them when I bring them in over winter, so what am I likely to be doing wrong?
Right, ideally you want somewhere and they've sort of got the following conditions: nice and bright and airy and above freezing, and then you keep them on the dry side. So a cold conservatory, heated conservatory, a porchway, that sort of environment. They can't be left outside and they can't be wrapped.
And you can find the link to MandyPlants' website in the description also. And of course I've done a bit of shopping of my own, adding 2 mandyvillas to my collection. Hopefully with that advice I'll keep them alive this winter. I've also bought the Mimosa pudica. I've already got a couple of mimosa trees in the garden, but this one in particular, the fact that you can touch it and the leaves shrink away, I absolutely love this feature. I've also bought a philodendron, white knight, and an alocasia tigrina. Now it's competition time. I've got a bag of fresh chilies to give away to one of my viewers. Please only enter if you can take the heat, because some of these are super hot and I haven't labelled them separately. It's competition time now, and I'm giving you a chance to win a large bag of fresh chilies. If you're following my videos this year, you'll know I've been growing a large variety of chilies, some super hot varieties and some milder varieties. So pending nothing happening that might destroy my crop, I will be harvesting a large bag of these chilies and giving it away to one winner. It will be a mixture of varieties, including some that claim to be the hottest chilies in the world. And these chilies can be kept in a freezer like this bag, so don't worry that you've got to use them all up in one go. You can just take them out the bag as and when you need them. To enter, just make sure you're following one of my social media accounts, either on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter or X. Share my competition post and comment at the bottom just to confirm that you live in the UK. Good luck everybody. The competition closes on the 15th of October and I'll be drawing the results shortly after. Thank you for watching. That's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to leave your comments underneath, and hopefully I'll see you next time for the next episode of Freya's Tropical Garden. If you're enjoying this content, then please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel. This is still a new channel, so every subscriber really does make a difference. You can also turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any of my new videos. And please let me know what you think in the comments, because they really do help my channel to grow. You can also follow me on social media for links to my latest videos and my photo of the day, in which I usually share photos of flowers from my garden, along with their names if known. You can follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, or you can join my Facebook group to ask questions or share photos. And you can find all of my YouTube videos on the Freya's Tropical Garden website, which I will also be expanding to provide advice pages as well as items for sale. Links to these pages are included in my description.